Hi guys, tonight, we travel quietly into the ancient world. There is no need to hurry. The day is beginning to disappear over the wide Egyptian land, and the last light of the sun is resting softly on the river. The Nile moves slowly through the darkness. Along its banks, small sounds are beginning to fade. A boat touches the water with a gentle wooden creak. Somewhere nearby, a donkey shifts its feet in the dust. A door made of rough wood closes inside a mud brick home. Then there is quiet again. Close your eyes, relax, and drift into history. Imagine the air at the end of a long day. It is still warm, but the heat is slowly leaving the walls of the houses. The ground holds the warmth of the sun. Dust rests along the narrow paths. The smell of bread, smoke, river mud, and dry earth lingers in the evening air. This is ancient Egypt, not as a place of enormous monuments or royal ceremonies, but as a place where ordinary people are becoming tired at the end of another ordinary day. A farmer has finished his work near the river. A fisherman is pulling his boat toward the bank. A worker is washing dust from his hands. A woman is preparing the last meal of the evening. A child is becoming sleepy beside a small cooking fire. A scribe is putting away his writing tools. And somewhere, in a quiet room made from mud brick, an old man is already lying down. Nothing important seems to be happening. And that is exactly what makes the evening so peaceful. For most people in ancient Egypt, history was not made from great events. It was made from repeated days. From waking before the sun became too hot. From carrying water. From grinding grain. From walking along dusty paths. From repairing tools. From working beside the river. From eating simple food. From resting when the body became tired. One day slowly became another. And another. And another. The Nile remained. The fields remained. The houses remained. The work remained. And as evening came, people returned to the same familiar places. Tonight, we will stay with them there. We will not rush toward palaces. We will not follow armies across deserts. We will simply remain in the soft hours when the working day is ending. The sun is now lower. Its light has changed from bright white to a softer gold. The edges of the mud brick houses are glowing faintly. Their walls are uneven in places. Some bricks have been repaired. Some have small cracks from the dry heat. The houses are close together, and the narrow spaces between them are already becoming shadowed. A person walking home would know these paths without thinking. There is the corner where a wall bends slightly. There is the place where a basket is often left. There is the small open area where people sometimes sit in the evening. There is the doorway. Inside, the air is cooler. The room is simple. There may be a low wooden stool. There may be woven mats on the floor. There may be clay pots resting against the wall. A basket holds grain. Another contains a few pieces of linen. There is no great decoration. The walls themselves are enough. They hold the quiet. They hold the coolness of the evening. Outside, the last workers are coming home. Their feet are dusty. Their clothing has absorbed the heat of the day. Some carry tools. Some carry baskets. Some carry nothing at all because their hands are too tired. A builder who has spent the day lifting stone may walk slowly through the village. His shoulders feel heavy. His fingers are rough. There is dust beneath his nails. The day has been long. He does not need to think about the monument he helped build. He does not need to think about the future. For this moment, he only needs to get home. The path is familiar. Step after step. The sandals touch the ground. A little dust rises. Then settles. The evening wind moves through it. And the river continues to flow. For many people, the Nile was always somewhere nearby in their thoughts. Even when they could not see it, they knew it was there. The river gave water to the fields. It carried boats. It brought fish. It helped move stone and wood. It shaped the land where people lived. At night, the river became another sound in the darkness. A low movement. A soft current. An occasional splash. A wooden boat rubbing gently against the shore. The Nile did not need to announce itself. It simply continued. And so did the lives around it. Perhaps a fisherman is still awake. He has spent the day on the water. His boat is small, built for practical work rather than beauty. The wood is worn from use. His hands smell of rope and fish. Now he sits beside the boat. He checks the net. There is a tear. It will need repairing tomorrow. For now, he places it beside him. He looks toward the dark river. The water reflects a little moonlight. The shore is quiet. There may be voices somewhere behind him, but they are becoming softer. He takes a slow breath. The day is over. Tomorrow will bring another morning. Another net. Another stretch of river. Another long day beneath the sun. But tonight, there is only the water. And the water moves slowly. Not far away, someone is preparing bread. Bread was one of the quiet foundations of daily life. Grain had to be processed before it could become food. This meant work. Grain had to be cleaned. It had to be ground. The grinding stone moved back and forth. Again. And again. The motion was familiar. The sound was familiar. A steady scraping. A pause. Another movement. The flour collected gradually. Inside a home, a woman may be preparing dough by the fading light. Her hands are covered with flour. A child watches from nearby. There is nothing dramatic about the scene. The child may have watched it many times. The same hands. The same bowl. The same smell of grain. The same warm air around the cooking fire. The same evening approaching. Perhaps there is a little bread left from the morning. Perhaps there is fresh bread being prepared for the night. There may be onions. There may be dates. There may be beans or lentils. There may be fish from the river. Food does not need to be complicated to be comforting. After a long day, even simple food can feel warm. The fire burns quietly. Smoke moves upward. The light touches the walls. A clay pot rests near the flame. Someone adds a little water. The pot makes a soft sound. Outside, the sky grows darker. This is how an evening might pass. Slowly. Without clocks. Without announcements. Without a clear moment when the day officially ends. The light simply disappears. And people adjust. Their eyes become accustomed to the darkness. The fire becomes more important. A small flame can change a room. It gives just enough light to see a face. Just enough light to find a bowl. Just enough light to move around without stumbling. The flame trembles when air enters through the doorway. The shadows on the walls move gently. Someone speaks. The words are quiet. Another person answers. Then there is silence again. Perhaps the conversation is about tomorrow's work. Perhaps about the weather. Perhaps about food. Perhaps about a neighbor. Perhaps about nothing important. Ordinary conversations have always existed. and most of them disappear without leaving a record. The scribes of ancient Egypt wrote many things down, but no one could record every small conversation that took place in every mud brick house. Most evenings simply vanished. A family ate. A worker rested. A child fell asleep. A fisherman sat beside the river. Then morning came. That was life. And there is something peaceful about imagining how much of ancient history was made from moments like these. The great monuments remain because stone lasts. But the quiet evenings are mostly gone. We can only imagine them. The tired footsteps. The warm walls. The smell of bread. The small cooking fires. The woven mats. The sound of the river. The darkness outside. And the heavy feeling in the body after a day of work. Let us stay there for a little while. The sun has completely disappeared now. Above the village, the sky is dark and wide. Stars appear gradually. There are many of them. The ancient Egyptians lived beneath a sky that was often clear and bright at night. Without the lights of a modern city, darkness would have been much deeper. The stars could become part of the landscape. People working outside might look upward. Farmers might know the sky by familiar patterns. Sailors might use the stars. Others might simply look because there was nothing else to look at. A child lying on a woven mat might see a small section of the night sky through an open doorway. Perhaps the child is still awake. Perhaps not. The sounds of the village have become quieter. A dog moves somewhere outside. A person coughs. A pot is placed on the floor. Someone walks past the house. Footsteps. Then silence. Inside another home, an elderly person is preparing for sleep. The sleeping space may be small. There may be a mat woven from reeds or plant fibers. There may be a low wooden headrest. A folded piece of cloth may serve as a covering. The floor is hard. The walls are close. There is little room to move. Yet the room is familiar. The same place where the person slept yesterday. The same place where they will sleep tomorrow. The body knows the shape of the space. There is comfort in familiarity. Outside, the temperature is beginning to fall. The desert air becomes cooler after sunset. The heat of the day slowly leaves the earth. For someone who worked beneath the sun, this change would feel welcome. During the day, heat could be exhausting. The sun could be heavy. The fields offered little shade. Construction work demanded strength. Carrying water demanded effort. Grinding grain demanded repeated movement. Walking through sand demanded patience. Even ordinary tasks could make the body tired. So evening had a special quality. It was not simply the end of daylight. It was relief. The shoulders could relax. The hands could become still. The feet could stop walking. The mind could become quieter. A worker who had spent the day carrying heavy materials might sit outside his home for a while before entering. He might stretch his legs. He might rub his hands. He might look toward the river. There would be no need to speak. Another worker might sit nearby. They would simply share the quiet. The village might contain hundreds of small movements, but none of them would feel urgent. Someone is still cooking. Someone is washing a bowl. Someone is repairing a sandal. Someone is tying a bundle. Someone is putting away a tool. Someone is calling a child inside. Then, gradually, these things stop. The night grows deeper. The cooking fires become smaller. The doors are closed. The paths are empty. The river remains. A faint breeze moves through the reeds. The reeds bend. Then return. Bend. Then return. The motion is almost impossible to notice unless you are watching carefully. Ancient Egypt was filled with such slow movements. Water moving through irrigation channels. Donkeys walking familiar paths. Farmers bending over fields. Hands shaping mud. Grain falling into baskets. Boats moving with the current. Smoke rising from cooking fires. People coming home. People waking. People sleeping. The rhythm was simple. And because the rhythm was simple, it could continue for a very long time. Before the evening becomes completely quiet, we can imagine one more household. A family is sitting together. The meal has already been eaten. The bread is finished. The bowls have been put aside. There is still a little warmth from the fire. The youngest child is lying on a mat. An older child is sitting against the wall. An adult is quietly repairing something. Perhaps a piece of clothing. Perhaps a basket. Perhaps a tool. The hands continue working even though the day is almost finished. Small repairs mattered. A torn piece of cloth could be mended. A broken basket could be woven again. A damaged tool could be fixed. Nothing useful was casually thrown away. Life required attention to small things. The adult's fingers move slowly. Thread passes through cloth. Pull. Pause. Pull again. The child watches. The room becomes quieter. The work continues. And then eventually, the repair is finished. The tool is placed down. The hands rest. The family settles into sleep. There is no ceremony. No great announcement. Just sleep. Across the village, similar scenes are happening. In one house, someone is already asleep. In another, a baby is crying softly. In another, two people are still talking. In another, a worker is washing his feet. In another, a family is lying close together because the room is small. And in another, someone is still awake beside a small flame. Ancient Egypt is becoming quiet. But the quiet is never complete. The Nile still moves. The wind still touches the walls. Animals shift in their shelters. Insects move through the warm air. A distant voice rises and disappears. The night breathes around the village. And eventually, even the last fire begins to fade. A little red glow remains. Then less. Then less. Until only a faint warmth is left. The darkness feels larger now. The walls are barely visible. The sleeping bodies are still. The tools are still. The baskets are still. The clay pots are still. Everything waits for morning. For now, there is nothing more to do. And this was an important part of life. Rest. Not as something special. Simply as something necessary. The body had worked. Now the body rested. The ancient world was full of people who knew physical tiredness very well. Farmers knew it. Builders knew it. Fishermen knew it. Servants knew it. Women who spent hours grinding grain, carrying water, preparing food, cleaning, weaving, and caring for children knew it. Men who worked in fields, workshops, quarries, boats, and construction areas knew it. Children who helped with small household tasks knew it too. The day belonged to work. The night belonged, as much as possible, to rest. And morning would come soon enough. Before morning, however, the village would remain in darkness for several hours. The Nile would continue its slow journey. The stars would remain overhead. The desert would cool. The mud brick walls would become cool to the touch. A sleeping worker might turn over on his mat. A child might move closer to a parent. Someone might wake briefly because of the cold air. Then sleep again. There would be no need to understand the hour. There was no need to count every minute. The night simply passed. And somewhere beyond the houses, the river carried the darkness along with it. Imagine standing there now. Not as a king. Not as a traveler. Not as someone searching for a monument. Just standing quietly beside the Nile. The village is behind you. The river is ahead. The sand beneath your feet is cool. The air smells faintly of water and earth. A boat rests near the shore. Its rope is tied securely. The wooden side rises and falls almost imperceptibly with the water. There is a soft sound. Water against wood. Water against wood. Again. Again. The sound does not change very much. It does not need to. It continues. The river reflects a broken path of moonlight. The opposite bank is mostly dark. There are no bright lights there. Only darkness. A few small fires may still be visible in the distance. Tiny points of orange. Then one disappears. Another remains. The wind passes over the river. The reeds move. The night air touches your face. For a moment, there is nothing to remember. Nothing to solve. Nothing to prepare. Only the river. Only the darkness. Only the slow movement of water. And behind you, inside those small homes, people are sleeping after another long day. Tomorrow they will wake. The farmer will walk toward the fields. The fisherman will return to the river. The baker will begin preparing grain. The worker will pick up his tools. The scribe will sit with his writing materials. The servant will begin the household tasks. The children will wake. The animals will be fed. The village will become busy again. But not yet. For now, the night belongs to rest. The last sounds of the day are disappearing. A door closes somewhere. A sandal touches the ground. Then stops. A quiet voice speaks. Then fades. The river continues. The wind continues. And the darkness settles more deeply over the houses. Perhaps this is what an ancient Egyptian evening often felt like. Not empty. Not completely silent. But slow. Familiar. Gentle. A long pause between one working day and the next. The kind of pause that allows tired hands to become still. The kind of pause that allows tired feet to stop. The kind of pause that lets a family sit together without needing to do anything more. The kind of pause that belongs to every age. The night grows deeper. The stars remain. And beside the Nile, the ancient world rests quietly. For a little while longer, nothing changes. The water moves. The walls stand. The sleeping mats remain on the floor. The tools wait for morning. The grain waits in its baskets. The boats wait beside the river. And the people sleep. Their breathing is soft. Their bodies are heavy from the day. The cool air moves slowly through the open spaces. A small flame gives one final flicker. Then darkness. And still the river moves. Slowly. Quietly. Patiently. As it has done through countless evenings. And as the village sleeps beneath the ancient sky, the first faint suggestion of morning is still far away. For now, there is only night. Only water. Only warm earth cooling beneath the stars. And the peaceful rhythm of a world that has finished its work for the day. The river continues to move through the darkness. Slowly. Almost without sound. The village remains asleep. For a while, there is no clear difference between one moment and the next. The night has settled over the mud brick walls, over the narrow paths, over the fields and the boats resting near the shore. The heat of the day has almost completely disappeared from the ground. Inside the houses, people sleep close to one another. Some lie on woven mats. Some sleep directly on the floor. Some have small wooden headrests beneath their heads. The rooms are dark. The doors are closed, but the air still finds its way through small openings. A person turns in sleep. A mat makes a faint rustling sound. Someone breathes deeply. Then everything becomes still again. Outside, the river carries on. It is difficult to know how many people are awake. Perhaps a fisherman is still sitting beside his boat. Perhaps someone has woken to check a child. Perhaps a servant is finishing a late task. Perhaps a night watchman is walking slowly along a path. His footsteps are quiet. He knows the village well. He knows where the walls turn. He knows where the ground becomes uneven. He knows where the animals are kept. There is no need for him to move quickly. The night is familiar. His shadow passes briefly across a wall. Then disappears. He walks onward. The village is quiet enough that small sounds seem larger. A donkey shifts inside a shelter. A rope moves against wood. A bird makes a short sound and becomes silent. The wind touches the reeds. The reeds bend toward the water. Then slowly rise again. The Nile remains dark. The moon has moved higher. Its light reaches the tops of the palm trees and the edges of the houses. The palms are almost black against the sky. Their leaves move gently. There is no strong wind. Only a soft movement of air. And then, very gradually, the night begins to change. Not yet into morning. There is still darkness. But somewhere far away, the deepest part of night is passing. For the people sleeping in the village, this change means nothing yet. Their bodies continue to rest. Tomorrow will arrive without needing to be invited. And before it does, there are still hours of quiet. Imagine one of the workers sleeping inside a small room. He has spent the previous day doing physical labor. His body is heavy. His hands are sore. His shoulders carry the memory of lifting, pushing, pulling, and carrying. The work has left dust in the folds of his clothing. He did not have a private room. There is no need for one. The family sleeps nearby. Someone is breathing softly. A child shifts. A piece of linen has been pulled over part of the body. The room is warm. But the night air is beginning to cool it. The worker sleeps deeply. For a few hours, there is no labor. No carrying. No walking. No heat. No commands. No tools. Only sleep. This kind of rest was important because the day would ask for strength again. The sun would return. The fields would need attention. The workshops would open. The boats would move. The building sites would become busy. Hands would begin working again. But sleep gives the hands permission to remain still. It gives the shoulders a chance to loosen. It gives tired feet a few hours without walking. The ancient world could be physically demanding. There were no easy ways around many daily tasks. Water had to be carried. Food had to be prepared by hand. Grain had to be ground. Clothing had to be cleaned and repaired. Fields had to be worked. Animals had to be cared for. Goods had to be moved. Tools had to be maintained. Walls had to be repaired. Boats had to be handled. Everyday life required repeated effort. And because the effort was repeated, people became familiar with it. The farmer knew how his field felt beneath his feet. The fisherman knew the weight of his net. The baker knew the texture of dough. The potter knew the feel of wet clay. The weaver knew the rhythm of the loom. The scribe knew the small movements required to prepare ink and write carefully. The builder knew the weight of stone. Their lives were built around these familiar motions. And when the evening came, the same people returned to familiar places. This repetition could be tiring. But it could also be comforting. A person knew what tomorrow was likely to bring. The same river. The same fields. The same house. The same work. The same path home. The night was a pause in that pattern. And the pause was beginning to grow longer. Near the river, a small group of boats rests against the bank. Some are used for fishing. Some for carrying people. Some for moving goods. The boats are quiet now. During daylight, the river might be filled with movement. People calling to one another. Oars touching water. Sails catching wind. Animals being loaded. Baskets being carried. But at night, much of that activity disappears. The boats become still. A rope keeps one close to shore. Another is pulled slightly onto the mud. A wooden paddle lies inside. The moonlight touches its smooth surface. The river moves beneath it. There is something peaceful about a boat that has finished its work. It no longer needs to carry anything. It can simply rest. The same is true of the tools left inside the houses. A hoe rests against a wall. A basket sits near the doorway. A grinding stone lies where it was left. A hammer or copper tool has been put away. The objects of daily work become quiet at night. They wait without impatience. Tomorrow, hands will find them again. For now, they belong to the darkness. In one house, someone wakes. Perhaps the room has become too warm. Perhaps the person hears a sound outside. He sits up slowly. For a moment, the darkness is complete. He reaches toward the wall. He knows where the small lamp is kept. A flame appears. It is tiny. The light touches his face. He looks toward the sleeping family. Everyone is still asleep. The person remains quiet. There is no reason to wake anyone. He sits for a moment. The flame moves. A little smoke rises. The room smells faintly of oil and warm clay. He drinks a small amount of water. Then the lamp is lowered. The flame disappears. Darkness returns. He lies down again. The house becomes quiet. The night continues. Outside, the temperature falls. The desert has a way of changing after sunset. The same land that felt harsh beneath the midday sun can become cool under the stars. The sand releases its heat. The stones become cold. The walls lose the warmth they carried from the afternoon. For people who had spent the day outside, this cooler air could be deeply welcome. A tired worker might sit near the doorway for a few minutes before sleep. He could feel the coolness against his arms. He could listen to the village. He might hear the river. He might hear distant animals. He might hear someone speaking softly. And then he would close his eyes. There would be nothing else he needed to do. The day had already taken everything it needed from him. Now the night could take the tiredness away. Not completely, but slowly. The hours of sleep would restore some strength. And the next morning, the cycle would begin again. Farther from the houses, near the fields, the darkness covers the land. The fields are quiet. During the day, they are places of movement. Farmers walk between plants. Water is guided toward crops. Animals pull tools. People bend down. People lift. People carry. The earth is touched again and again by human hands. At night, the fields seem almost empty. But the plants remain. Grain moves gently when the breeze passes. Leaves make small shadows beneath the moon. The irrigation channels hold dark water. The soil is cool. The farmer's work is temporarily finished. There is no need to walk through the field until morning. The crops can remain beneath the stars. And somewhere beyond the fields, the desert begins. It stretches away from the river. Dry. Wide. Quiet. The desert and the river exist side by side. One gives life through water. The other gives space through emptiness. People live close to the river because the river makes life possible. The desert begins where the waters reach becomes weaker. At night, the boundary between them becomes difficult to see. Everything is dark. The fields. The sand. The distant hills. Only the stars give shape to the sky. A traveler moving through the darkness would have to know the land well. But tonight there is little travel. Most people have stopped moving. The roads are quiet. The paths are empty. The animals are resting. The workshops are closed. The homes are dark. It is one of those ordinary hours that would never appear in a royal inscription. No monument would be built to remember it. No official would announce it. And yet this kind of night would have happened again and again. Thousands of small nights. Thousands of tired families. Thousands of meals. Thousands of fires. Thousands of people sleeping beneath the same sky. History is often remembered through what survives. Stone walls survive. Statues survive. Written records survive. But the quiet hours between those records were lived by ordinary people. Their tiredness was real. Their hunger was real. Their comfort was real. Their sleep was real. The person who repaired a basket before going to bed may never have expected anyone to remember that small act. The woman who spent the evening grinding grain may never have imagined that the motion of her hands would become part of a story centuries later. The child who fell asleep beside a cooking fire did not know that the same stars would eventually be seen by people far beyond Egypt. The fisherman resting beside his boat did not need to know. He only needed to rest. The night belongs to such people. The people whose names are forgotten. The people whose lives were ordinary. The people who woke each morning and did the work that needed to be done. And as we remain beside the river, we can imagine how many such lives existed. Not all at once. Not in a single place. But along the long course of the Nile. From one settlement to another. From one farm to another. From one workshop to another. People lived with the river. They learned its moods. They watched its water. They used its banks. They depended on it. The river was not simply part of the landscape. It was part of the rhythm of life. And at night, that rhythm became softer. A farmer sleeping near the river might hear the water. A boatman might hear it against the side of his boat. A family living farther inland might hear almost nothing. But everyone knew the river was there. Morning would bring it back into view. For now, it belonged to the darkness. A few hours pass. The stars have shifted. The moon has moved farther across the sky. The village is still. Perhaps the night watchman has completed part of his walk. He returns toward the place where he can rest. His steps are slower now. He sits. He stretches his legs. The cool air feels different from the heat of the previous afternoon. He closes his eyes for a moment. Even a watchman becomes tired. His work is quiet. There are no great events to report. Most nights, nothing happens. And that is exactly what makes the night peaceful. He watches. He waits. He listens. A sound comes from far away. He looks toward it. Nothing follows. So he relaxes again. The stars remain above him. The Nile continues below. He has done what he needed to do. Soon another person may take his place. The hours move forward. Slowly. There is no hurry. In another home, a mother wakes briefly. Her child is restless. She reaches over. The child settles. The mother lies back down. The room is dark. She can hear another family member breathing. She can hear the faint sound of wind. Perhaps she thinks about the coming day. There will be bread to prepare. Water to collect. Clothing to handle. Food to make. A child to care for. Work to do. The thought is familiar. She does not need to solve it tonight. Tomorrow is still waiting. For now, she sleeps. And the house returns to silence. This is the quiet part of the ancient world. Not the part carved into temple walls. Not the part painted for ceremonies. But the part between one task and another. The part where people simply exist. They breathe. They rest. They wait. They sleep. And the darkness holds them. The first signs of morning are still faint. The sky near the eastern horizon has not yet changed much. But somewhere beyond the darkness, the coming day is already moving toward the village. The people do not know it yet. Or perhaps they know it only because every night eventually ends. The river will brighten. The fields will become visible. The birds will begin calling. The animals will wake. The first people will rise. A cooking fire will be started. Bread will be prepared. Water will be carried. The paths will fill. The work will begin. But not yet. There are still quiet moments left. The village sleeps. The Nile moves. The desert waits. The stars remain. And the cool night air rests against the mud brick walls. The ancient houses look different at night. During the day, their walls are bright beneath the sun. At night, they become soft shapes. Corners disappear. Doorways become dark rectangles. The uneven surface of the bricks can barely be seen. A palm tree stands nearby. Its leaves move gently. The shadow of the tree stretches across the ground. Nothing seems to move quickly. Even the wind feels slow. The night is almost like a blanket laid over the village. And beneath it, ordinary life is resting. Perhaps somewhere, a baker is sleeping beside the place where bread will be prepared in the morning. Perhaps a farmer sleeps with his tools nearby. Perhaps a fisherman rests beside his nets. Perhaps a scribe has placed his writing materials carefully on a shelf. Perhaps a servant has finally sat down after finishing household work. Perhaps a child is dreaming. The dreams are unknown. They disappear when morning comes. No record remains. Only the night knows them. And the night keeps everything quietly. A tired worker shifts on his mat. His hand rests beside him. His breathing slows. His face is peaceful. Tomorrow, he will use those hands again. For now, they are still. There is something deeply simple in this. Work. rest, work, rest, day, night, light, darkness. The rhythm does not need explanation. It simply continues. And along the Nile, this rhythm shaped countless lives. The river did not hurry. The people could not always hurry either. The seasons changed. The fields changed. The water changed. The work changed. But much remained familiar. A home was repaired. A tool was repaired. A boat was repaired. A basket was repaired. Clothing was repaired. People repaired the things around them because daily life depended on those things. A small household could contain objects that had been used for years. A bowl. A mat. A basket. A wooden stool. A pot. A tool. A piece of cloth. Each object had a place. At night, each object returned to stillness. The bowl was empty. The pot was cooling. The basket was closed. The stool stood beside the wall. The mat held a sleeping body. The tools waited. The house rested. And outside, the river continued to carry water through the darkness. Perhaps a fish moves beneath the surface. Perhaps a crocodile rests somewhere along the bank. Perhaps a bird sleeps among the reeds. The river has its own nighttime life. People cannot see most of it. They only hear the water. That is enough. A gentle sound. A familiar sound. A sound that has no beginning and no end. The Nile moves through the night. And beside it, the ancient village sleeps. The first pale hint of morning is beginning to gather somewhere beyond the horizon. It is almost impossible to see. The sky remains dark. But the darkness is no longer quite as deep. The stars near the eastern edge begin to fade slightly. The night is preparing to leave. Inside the homes, people remain asleep. They do not know that the sky is changing. Or perhaps some are beginning to stir. An early riser turns on his mat. A farmer wakes before everyone else. He sits quietly. The room is still dark. He listens. The village has not yet begun its day. He stands carefully. His feet touch the cool floor. He reaches for his clothing. There is no need to light a lamp yet. The darkness is becoming softer. He steps outside. The air is cool. He looks toward the east. Nothing dramatic happens. There is simply the beginning of another morning. The same river. The same fields. The same paths. Another day. He stands quietly for a moment. Then he begins to prepare. Behind him, the village is still mostly asleep. Ahead of him, the fields are waiting. The Nile is waiting. The work is waiting. But the morning has not fully arrived. So the farmer walks slowly toward the river. His feet make small marks in the dust. The marks will disappear later. The path will be used by many people. Soon, the village will become busy. Soon, voices will return. Soon, fires will burn. Soon, bread will be baking. Soon, baskets will be carried. Soon, boats will move. But for these few moments, before the day fully begins, ancient Egypt is quiet once again. The river reflects the first faint light. The palms stand against the changing sky. The houses remain dark. And the farmer continues walking. Slowly. Without hurry. Toward another day beside the Nile. The farmer continues walking toward the river. The path beneath his feet is cool now. The dust that was warm beneath the afternoon sun has lost its heat. His sandals make a soft sound with each step. There is no need to walk quickly. The morning is only beginning. Behind him, the houses remain quiet. A few doorways are beginning to show faint movement. Someone has woken. Someone else is still asleep. A small fire is being prepared in one home, but its glow is not yet strong enough to reach the path. The sky is slowly changing. The darkness above the river has become a softer shade of gray. The stars are disappearing one by one. The Nile catches the first pale light. For a moment, the water looks almost silver. The farmer stops near the bank. He looks across the river. There is nothing unusual to see. A few reeds move in the morning air. A boat rests against the shore. A bird flies low over the water. Then it disappears beyond the reeds. The farmer takes a breath. The air is cooler than it will be later. He knows that this will not last. Soon the sun will rise. Soon the warmth will return. Soon the quiet will become movement. But for now, the river belongs to the early morning. He kneels near the water and washes his hands. The water is cool. He lets it run over his fingers. Then he stands. His day has begun. Across the village, another person is beginning the same slow process. A woman wakes inside a small mud brick home. She does not rise immediately. For a moment, she remains on the mat. The room is still dim. Her family is sleeping nearby. She listens to the silence. Then she reaches for a clay vessel. There is water inside. She takes a small drink. The first household task of the day begins quietly. There is grain to prepare. She moves toward the grinding stone. The stone is heavy. She places the grain carefully. Then her hands begin their familiar motion. Back and forth. Slowly. The sound is soft. Stone against grain. Back and forth. Again. And again. There is no hurry. She has done this many times. The movement is part of the morning. Outside, the sky becomes brighter. The village begins to wake. A child moves on a mat. A man coughs. Someone opens a door. A donkey makes a low sound. Then another door opens. The first voices appear. Quiet at first. Then more. The day is returning. The same village that was almost silent only a short while ago is slowly becoming active again. This change happens every morning. The night does not disappear suddenly. It fades. Darkness becomes gray. Gray becomes pale gold. The shapes of the houses become clear. The paths appear. The palm trees become visible. The river becomes bright. And the people begin moving. Ancient Egypt wakes gradually. There is no single moment when everyone rises. Each household has its own rhythm. Some people wake early. Others sleep longer. Some work begins immediately. Other tasks can wait. A fisherman may already be preparing his boat. A farmer may be walking toward the fields. A baker may be lighting a fire. A servant may be carrying water. A scribe may still be asleep. A child may be sitting quietly near a doorway. The morning gathers them one by one. The farmer walks away from the river and toward the fields. His tools are simple. There is nothing unnecessary. A wooden handle. A metal or copper working edge. Rope. Basket. The tools have been used before. They show the marks of work. Scratches. Dust. Wear. He carries them without thinking. His body knows what to do. He walks toward the field. The sun is beginning to appear. The first light touches the tops of the palms. Then the walls. Then the ground. The air begins to warm. The farmer knows that the cooler hours will not remain for long. Early morning is precious. Work can be done before the strongest heat arrives. So he begins. He bends. He lifts. He carries. The movements are slow and repeated. There is nothing dramatic about them. That is the nature of much physical labor. The same motion may be performed hundreds of times. A person does not need to think about every movement. The hands simply continue. The body learns. The field is quiet except for the sound of tools touching soil. Nearby, another farmer is already working. Farther away, someone leads an animal. The animal walks steadily. Its feet press into the earth. A small cloud of dust rises. Then disappears. The morning becomes warmer. And the village becomes busier. Near one of the homes, bread is being prepared. The dough has been mixed. A fire has been made. The smell of baking bread begins to move through the air. It is one of the first familiar smells of the day. People know it immediately. Bread is part of daily life. The smell reaches the doorway. A child notices. The child sits up. The night has ended. The morning meal will come soon. Perhaps there will be dates. Perhaps onions. Perhaps beer or another simple drink. Perhaps yesterday's food remains. The meal does not need to be large. After all, there is work waiting. The family eats. Then the bowls are put aside. The work continues. The woman returns to her household tasks. The child may carry something. Perhaps a small basket. Perhaps a piece of cloth. Perhaps nothing at all. Children learn by being near adults. They watch. They imitate. They become familiar with the movements of everyday life. A child sees grain being ground. A child sees bread being shaped. A child sees water being carried. A child sees cloth being folded. A child sees a boat being pushed into the river. The world is learned through repetition. There are no separate lessons for every task. Life itself teaches. The river teaches. The fields teach. The home teaches. The workshop teaches. And the body remembers. Farther along the riverbank, fishermen are beginning their work. Their boats are small. They inspect the ropes. They check the nets. They look at the water. Morning light makes the river easier to see. The surface reflects the sky. The current moves quietly. A fisherman pushes his boat away from the bank. The wood slides over wet mud. Then the boat floats. He steps inside. Another person helps. The oar enters the water. Pull. Lift. Pull. Lift. The boat moves. The rhythm is slow. The river does most of the work. The fishermen understand the current. They know where the water is deeper. They know where fish may gather. They know where the reeds grow thickly. Their knowledge comes from experience. It is practical knowledge. Quiet knowledge. Knowledge that lives in the hands. The boat moves farther from the village. Behind it, the houses become smaller. Ahead, the river opens. The fisherman prepares the net. He waits. There is patience in fishing. The river cannot be forced. The net must be placed. Then the person waits. This is another kind of daily rhythm. Work. Waiting. Work again. The ancient world was full of waiting. waiting for water, waiting for crops, waiting for bread, waiting for boats, waiting for the right season, waiting for a wound to heal, waiting for night, waiting for morning. People were accustomed to time moving slowly. The fisherman sits in his boat. The sun rises higher. The water shines. A bird passes overhead. He watches the net. Nothing happens for a while. Then he adjusts it. His hands are calm. The river continues. On land, the workshops are opening. A carpenter lifts the door. A potter prepares clay. A weaver sits near the loom. A metal worker arranges tools. A scribe prepares writing materials. Each workshop has its own sounds. Wood being shaped. Clay being pressed. Threads moving. Metal being worked. A brush touching a surface. These sounds join the larger sound of the village. The quiet morning has become a working morning. Yet the rhythm remains steady. There is no need for speed. A carpenter works carefully. He runs his hand over a piece of wood. He checks the surface. He removes a rough section. Wood dust falls to the ground. The piece may become a stool, a door, a box, a tool handle, perhaps something used in a boat. Every piece of material has a purpose. The carpenter continues. A potter nearby is shaping clay. The clay is wet and cool. His fingers press into it. Slowly, the form appears. A bowl. A jar. A vessel. The shape becomes clearer. He turns it. His hands remain steady. Clay changes under pressure. It is one of the simplest materials. Earth and water. Shaped by human hands. Then left to dry. The village depends on such simple objects. Water needs containers. Grain needs storage. Food needs bowls. Oil needs jars. Beer needs vessels. Everyday life is held together by small things. And every small thing takes time. The potter's work is repetitive. But repetition creates skill. The same movement performed many times becomes natural. The hand knows where to press. The fingers know how much pressure is needed. The eyes know when the shape is right. The potter does not need to speak. The work itself occupies his attention. This quiet concentration appears throughout the village. The weaver works. The carpenter works. The farmer works. The fisherman work. The baker works. The servant carries water. The scribe writes. Everyone is doing something. And the day becomes warmer. The shadows shorten. The sun climbs. The cool morning begins to disappear. The farmer wipes his forehead. He continues working. He knows the heat will become stronger. There is still work to finish. He does not need to complete everything at once. The day is long. He can pause. He can drink water. He can rest beneath shade when necessary. The body has limits. Ancient workers knew those limits well. A person who worked beneath the Egyptian sun could become tired quickly. Heat changes the way the body moves. A task that feels simple in the morning becomes harder later. A basket becomes heavier. A tool feels harder to lift. A walk becomes longer. The sun presses down. So workers learned to work with the day. Early hours were useful. Midday required more patience. Evening would eventually bring relief. The rhythm of the day was partly shaped by the sun. There was no need to argue with it. The sun would rise. The sun would grow strong. The sun would cross the sky. Then it would disappear. The people lived within that rhythm. Near the fields, the farmer stops for a moment. He sits beneath a small area of shade. He drinks water. His breathing slows. Another worker sits nearby. Neither speaks much. There is no need. The two men rest. Their tools lie beside them. The field is quiet. A bird moves through the plants. A faint breeze passes. For a few moments, the work disappears. The farmer looks toward the river. The water is bright now. Boats are moving. The village is visible beyond the fields. Smoke rises from several homes. The morning meal is finished. The day has fully begun. He sits a little longer. Then he stands. The work resumes. Back and forth. Step by step. The same earth. The same sun. The same movements. This is the kind of repetition that can become almost meditative. A person performs the task. Then performs it again. The mind becomes quieter. The hands continue. The body knows the pattern. And time passes. In another part of the settlement, a scribe sits in a shaded room. His work is different. He does not lift stone. He does not pull a boat. He does not dig in the soil. He works with writing. His materials are carefully arranged. A surface to write on. A reed pen. Ink. Other small tools. He prepares them. The work requires patience. The signs must be made carefully. The scribe sits upright. His surroundings are quieter than the workshops. But even his work is repetitive. A sign. Then another. A line. Then another. The hand moves. The eye watches. The mind remembers. He may be recording quantities. Goods. Grain. Workers. Supplies. Names. Payments. Deliveries. The written record helps organize the practical world. Behind every written number are physical things. Grain carried in baskets. Water carried in jars. Stone moved by workers. Food prepared in kitchens. Animals fed. Boats loaded. Writing sits above this physical activity, but it depends upon it. The scribe may never lift the grain himself. Yet his work is connected to the grain. His records are connected to the workers. His writing is connected to the daily movement of the settlement. He continues writing. Outside, the village is becoming hotter. Inside, the shaded room remains relatively cool. The scribe pauses. He looks toward the doorway. The light outside is bright. He returns to his work. There is comfort in shade. Ancient homes and workshops often used the structure of the building to create cooler spaces. Thick mud brick walls could help reduce the effect of the heat. Small windows or openings limited direct sunlight. Flat roofs could become useful places during cooler hours. Life moved between inside and outside depending on the weather. In the hottest part of the day, shade mattered. People understood this without needing complicated explanations. The body told them. Too much sun meant fatigue. Shade meant relief. Water meant strength. Rest meant recovery. These were simple truths. The same truths that shaped the quiet evening would also shape the long afternoon. And as the sun rises higher, the village begins to slow slightly. The early rush has passed. People continue working. But some tasks are moved into shade. Some workers pause. Some people return home briefly. The fisherman remains on the river. The baker has finished much of the morning work. The farmer continues in the field. The potter works inside his shaded workshop. The scribe continues to write. The village breathes through the heat. There is a softness to the midday sound. The strongest activity becomes less crowded. Even animals seek shade. A donkey stands near a wall. A dog lies on the ground. Birds rest beneath leaves. The river remains bright. Its surface seems almost too bright to look at. A boat moves slowly. The fisherman shields his eyes. He waits. The net rises. There are fish. Not many. Enough for the day. He gathers them. His work has produced something useful. The boat turns toward the bank. The current helps. The fisherman does not need to fight it. He lets the river carry part of the boat's weight. The shore comes closer. He steps out. The fish are placed into a basket. Someone may buy them. Some may be eaten by the family. Some may be traded. The catch becomes part of the village's food. A simple morning on the river has become part of many other people's meals. The fisherman carries the basket. His arms are tired. He walks home. The sun is high. The path is bright. He moves toward shade whenever he can. When he reaches home, the coolness inside feels welcome. He places the basket down. He sits. For a while, he does nothing. This pause is not wasted time. The body needs it. His hands rest on his knees. He closes his eyes. The sounds outside continue. But inside, there is shade. There is water. There is a place to sit. That is enough. The household moves around him. Someone prepares food. Someone cleans the fish. Someone brings a bowl. The work continues, but the fisherman can rest. He has already done his part. Later, when the heat becomes less intense, he may help again. For now, he is simply tired. And there is something very human in that tiredness. The ancient world was full of bodies that became tired. Stone did not become tired. Mud brick did not become tired. Statues did not become tired. But the people who shaped them did. Their hands became sore. Their backs became stiff. Their feet became dusty. Their eyes became heavy. They needed food. They needed water. They needed sleep. The great structures of Egypt depended on ordinary human energy. And behind every large task were many small moments of rest. A person sitting in the shade. A person drinking water. A person rubbing a sore shoulder. A person eating bread. A person closing his eyes for a few minutes. These moments were part of the work too. Because without rest, the work could not continue. The afternoon will eventually come. The sun will begin its slow journey downward. The shadows will lengthen. The river will lose some of its brightness. The fields will become softer in color. And once again, the village will begin moving toward evening. But that is still some time away. For now, the day is warm. The mud brick walls hold the heat. The dusty paths are bright. The Nile moves beneath the sun. And the people continue with the simple tasks that fill their lives. A basket is carried. A tool is lifted. A pot is shaped. A line is written. A net is repaired. A loaf is prepared. A field is tended. Water is poured. A child watches. A tired worker rests. Then the work begins again. Slowly. Quietly. One ordinary movement after another. The afternoon settles slowly over the village. The sun has moved beyond its highest point, but the heat remains. The mud brick walls are warm. The ground is dry. The paths between the houses are bright with sunlight, while the narrow spaces beneath awnings and doorways remain shaded. People move between the two. A worker steps into the shade. He pauses. Then, after a little while, he returns to his task. The day has become slower now. Not because the work has ended. There is still plenty to do. But the strongest heat has made everyone more careful. A person carries a basket with both hands. The weight is familiar. Step by step, the basket swings slightly. The person stops beneath a wall. Breathes. Then continues. The village has learned how to live with the heat. There are places to rest. There are shaded rooms. There are courtyards. There is the river. There are palm trees. There are thick walls. And there is patience. The afternoon is not a time to hurry. Near one of the homes, a woman sits in the shade with a small child. The child is tired. The warmth has made the afternoon quiet. The woman holds a piece of cloth in her hands. She works slowly. The cloth has a small tear. She repairs it. The needle moves through the fabric. In. Out. In. Out. The child watches for a moment. Then rests his head against her side. She continues working. There is no reason to stop. The repair will be useful later. A piece of clothing can be worn again. A small tear does not need to become a large problem. The same patient attention appears everywhere. A basket is repaired. A sandal is repaired. A wall is repaired. A boat is repaired. A tool is repaired. Daily life depends on maintenance. Things wear down. People repair them. Then they use them again. The afternoon passes through these small acts. A potter is still working in his shaded workshop. The clay has become easier to shape. He adds another vessel to the row. One beside another. Some are small. Some are large. Some are meant for water. Others will hold grain. The vessels sit quietly in the shade, waiting to dry. The potter looks at them. He knows that later they will need to be moved. Perhaps they will be carried to another household. Perhaps they will be traded. Perhaps they will be used by his own family. A simple clay jar can travel through many hands. It may begin as wet earth. Then become a vessel. Then become part of a home. Then remain there for years. The potter returns to his clay. His fingers press gently. The wheel turns. The shape rises. The work is quiet. The village outside sounds distant. A bird calls. Someone speaks. A donkey moves. Then the workshop becomes quiet again. The potter continues. There is something peaceful about work that requires the hands to move in circles. Round and round. The same motion. The same pressure. The same careful attention. Outside, the farmer is still in the field. The afternoon sun has changed the way the land looks. The plants cast small shadows. The river is farther away now. The farmer can see it between the trees. It shines. He stops for water. The container is nearly empty. He drinks carefully. There must be enough for the rest of the work. Water is not something to waste. The farmer wipes his mouth. He looks across the field. The work remains. But the end of the day is getting closer. He can feel it. The sun is slowly moving westward. The light is no longer directly overhead. The shadows are beginning to stretch. The farmer returns to his work. The tool enters the soil. Lift. Turn. Step. Again. There is a rhythm to it. The earth gives slightly beneath the tool. Dust gathers around his feet. He continues. Not because the task is exciting. Not because he expects praise. Simply because it needs to be done. This is how much of life moves. A person does what is necessary. Then does the next necessary thing. The day becomes a chain of small tasks. And when those tasks are finished, the person goes home. The afternoon continues. In a nearby household, food is being prepared for later. The fish brought from the river is cleaned. The smell moves through the air. A clay bowl is placed beside it. Onions are prepared. Bread is set aside. Dates are stored in a basket. Someone adds water to a pot. The household is already thinking about evening. Even before the sun disappears, people know that the working day will end. There will be another meal. There will be cleaning. There will be small repairs. Then rest. The evening begins in the mind before it begins in the sky. The family does not need to make a plan. They know the routine. A person has lived through enough evenings to know what happens next. The sun lowers. The air cools. People return. Food is prepared. The fire is lit. The house becomes quiet. Sleep follows. The pattern is familiar. In another part of the settlement, a group of workers is finishing a long day. Their clothing is dusty. Their feet are tired. Their tools have been used for hours. Some workers speak quietly. Others are silent. A few sit on the ground. One worker stretches his back. Another rubs his hands. Someone drinks water. They do not need to discuss how tired they are. It is visible. The body tells the story. One man looks toward the setting sun. He knows the day is almost over. He stands slowly. His companions begin gathering their things. Tools are counted. Baskets are checked. Nothing important should be left behind. The workers begin the walk home. At first, the path is bright. The sun is still high enough to cast long light across the ground. But every few minutes, the light becomes softer. The workers walk together. Some carry tools. Some carry empty baskets. Their shadows stretch ahead of them. The walk is familiar. There are no surprises. They know every turn. A wall. A tree. A small courtyard. A narrow path. Another wall. Home. The farther they walk, the quieter they become. The workday is leaving their minds. One worker speaks briefly. Another answers. Then they walk in silence. The dust rises around their feet. The air begins to cool. This is the first relief. The heat is still there, but it is losing its strength. The worker lifts his face toward the wind. It feels good. The Nile is nearby. The evening breeze moves inland. It carries the smell of water. For someone who has been under the sun all day, that smell can feel familiar and welcome. The workers continue. Soon the village comes into view. The homes look golden in the evening light. Smoke rises from a few cooking fires. People are returning from the fields. Children are beginning to move through the paths. Animals are being brought back. The village is entering another stage of its daily rhythm. The busy afternoon is ending. The quiet evening is beginning. A woman stands near a doorway waiting for someone to return. A child runs toward a familiar adult. The worker stops. The child takes his hand. They walk home together. The worker's hand is rough. The child's hand is small. They move through the doorway. Inside, the room is cooler. The worker sits. For a moment, he does not speak. He simply sits. His shoulders drop. His feet rest on the floor. Someone brings him water. He drinks slowly. The first drink is small. Then another. He breathes deeply. The day is leaving him. A person can feel the difference between being outside beneath the sun and sitting inside a shaded home. The walls seem to hold the quiet. The floor feels cool. The air is still. There is a sense that nothing needs to happen immediately. The worker has reached home. That is enough. Someone begins preparing the evening meal. The family moves around him. A child brings a small object. Perhaps a piece of wood. Perhaps a stone. Perhaps something found outside. The worker looks at it. He gives a quiet response. The child smiles. These small moments have no place in official history. But they are part of life. A tired person coming home. A child waiting. A bowl of food. A little water. A room becoming quiet. The family is together. The evening continues. Outside, the sun is lower now. The river reflects the sky. The fishermen are returning. One boat approaches the bank. The fisherman stands. The boat touches the mud. He steps out. His legs feel stiff from sitting. He lifts the basket. There are fish inside. Someone comes to meet him. The catch is examined. Some will be sold. Some will be kept. The fisherman is tired. He has spent many hours on the water. The river that gave him food has also taken his energy. He carries the basket home. The boat remains behind. Tomorrow it will return to the water. Tonight it rests. The fisherman rests too. Near the shore, another boat is being tied. The rope is pulled tight. A knot is checked. The person handling it does not rush. A loose rope could cause trouble. So the knot is secure. The boat is safe. The task is finished. The person stands for a moment and looks over the river. The sun is now near the horizon. The light is warm. The opposite bank is turning dark. Palm trees appear as silhouettes. The river seems wider in the evening. The surface catches the last light. The wind is cooler now. The fisherman remains there for a little while. He has nowhere else to be immediately. He watches the water. The day has been long. There is comfort in simply looking. A bird flies across the river. Its wings move steadily. Then it disappears into the growing darkness. The fisherman turns toward home. The evening meal will be waiting. The village is changing again. The paths that were empty in the heat are becoming active. People are returning. Children are outside. Animals are being settled. Cooking fires are being lit. The sound of grinding grain may return in some homes. Others are already preparing food. The smell of smoke begins to fill the air. Bread warms near a fire. Fish cooks. Vegetables are prepared. Dates are placed in bowls. Water is poured. The simple meal begins. There is no need for a grand table. People sit wherever there is room. A family may sit on mats. Someone may sit near the wall. Children may eat first. Adults may continue talking. The food is shared. After a long day, Hunger makes even simple food satisfying. The worker who has spent the day outside eats slowly. He does not rush. The bread is soft. The fish is warm. The drink is cool. His body begins to feel less empty. The meal restores some strength. Conversation remains quiet. Someone talks about the day's work. Another person listens. A child asks something. An adult answers. Then the conversation moves to another subject. There is no need to fill every silence. Silence is part of the meal too. The fire crackles. A bowl touches the floor. Someone takes another piece of bread. The room smells of food and smoke. Outside, the sky becomes darker. The first stars are beginning to appear. The family continues eating. Eventually, the meal ends. The bowls are collected. Some are washed. Some are simply wiped. Food that remains is stored. The fire is adjusted. The room becomes quieter. The worker leans against the wall. His eyes are heavy. He has been awake since early morning. His body wants rest. The family knows this. There is no need to say it. The day's work has finished. But the evening still has a few tasks. A tool must be put away. A basket must be covered. A child must be prepared for sleep. Clothing may need to be folded. Water must be stored. The household moves slowly through these final tasks. Nothing is hurried. The evening has plenty of time. Outside, the village becomes quieter. The children who were playing in the paths are being called inside. One child resists. Another is already sleepy. A parent carries a small child. The child's head rests against the adult's shoulder. The day has made the child tired too. The child is carried inside. A mat is prepared. The child is placed down. The room is warm. The child turns toward the wall. Sleep comes quickly. There is no ceremony. Just a small body becoming still. In another house, an older child helps prepare the sleeping space. The mat is unrolled. A cloth is placed over it. A wooden headrest is moved into position. The room is small. There is little space between sleeping places. But everyone knows where they belong. The home is familiar. The same wall. The same doorway. The same floor. The same sounds. Outside, the evening wind grows stronger. It moves across the river. It enters through openings in the houses. The air becomes cooler. The heat of the day begins to disappear. This is the moment many people have been waiting for. The relief of evening. The body begins to loosen. The forehead is no longer covered with sweat. The hands are no longer gripping tools. The feet are no longer walking. The back can rest. The eyes can close. A person may sit outside for a while before sleeping. This was a common kind of quiet. The house is behind. The river is ahead. The sky is dark. The stars are visible. The person sits. Perhaps another person sits nearby. They do not need to speak. The air itself is enough. A breeze. The smell of the river. The sound of insects. The distant call of an animal. The faint sound of a boat. Everything blends together. The worker looks toward the fields. They are dark now. Tomorrow they will be bright again. He looks toward the river. Tomorrow he may go there. Or perhaps someone else will. He looks toward the village. Small fires glow through doorways. One by one, they become smaller. The night is returning. The same night that appeared before. The same stars. The same river. But another day has passed. A person might think about tomorrow for a moment. There will be work. There will be food. There will be more heat. There will be more water to carry. There will be more tasks. But those thoughts do not need to remain for long. The person closes his eyes. The breeze continues. He sits quietly. The village becomes darker. One fire disappears. Then another. The paths empty. The animals settle. The workshops are closed. The tools are put away. The boats are tied. The fields are still. The river continues to move. Night begins again. And once more, ancient Egypt becomes a place of quiet homes and tired bodies. The day's sounds fade. The smell of cooking fires remains for a while. Smoke drifts upward. Then disappears. A family finishes its final conversation. Someone yawns. Someone stretches. Someone lies down. A mat makes a soft sound beneath the weight of the body. A child is already asleep. An older person closes his eyes. A worker rests his hands beside him. The house becomes still. Outside, the moon begins to rise. Its light touches the Nile. The water becomes silver again. The boats become dark shapes. The palm trees stand quietly. The fields disappear into shadow. The road is empty. And once again, the ancient village begins its long quiet pause between days. The people who worked beneath the sun are now resting beneath the stars. Their tools are silent. Their baskets are empty. Their boats are still. Their fires are low. Their food has been eaten. Their doors are closed. The work is finished. For tonight. The river does not stop. It continues its slow journey through the darkness. And beside it, the village settles deeper into sleep. There is nothing more that needs to happen. Not yet. The night has only just begun. The night has only just begun. The last warmth of the evening still lingers inside the mud brick walls, while outside, the air has become noticeably cooler. The village is quiet again. Not the deep quiet of the middle of the night, but the soft quiet that comes after a long day when people have finally stopped moving. A few small fires remain. Their light appears through doorways. A faint orange glow touches the ground. Then a person shifts the wood. The flame rises. For a moment, the wall becomes bright. Then the fire settles again. The people sitting nearby do not need much light. They know their homes. They know where everything is kept. A basket is near the wall. A water jar stands beside it. A mat lies across the floor. A low stool rests in the corner. The familiar shapes are enough. Outside, the river reflects the night sky. The water moves past the village without stopping. It carries small pieces of reflected moonlight across its surface. The current is slow. The banks are dark. A fisherman has already tied his boat. The rope is secure. The nets are folded. The day's catch has been taken home. His work is finished. He sits near his doorway. His back rests against the wall. For the first time since early morning, there is nothing in his hands. He looks toward the river. There is no need to watch carefully. There is no net to check. No fish to catch. No boat to move. He simply watches. The river gives him a place to rest his eyes. The surface is dark. Every so often, a small ripple catches the moonlight. Then it disappears. The fisherman breathes slowly. His body remembers the day. His shoulders are tired. His legs feel heavy. His hands are sore. But the cool evening air makes everything feel easier. He stays there for a while. Perhaps someone sits beside him. They might speak about tomorrow. Or they might not. Sometimes two tired people can sit together without conversation. The quiet itself becomes company. The fisherman eventually stands. His knees feel stiff. He walks inside. The doorway is low. He bends slightly. Then the darkness surrounds him. A small lamp provides just enough light. His family is preparing to sleep. The room smells faintly of smoke, fish, and bread. The smells of the day remain. They cling to clothing. They settle into the walls. They become part of the house. He washes his hands. The water is cool. He wipes them with a piece of cloth. Then he sits. Someone gives him food that remains from the evening meal. He eats a little more. Not because he is very hungry. Simply because the food is there. Then the bowl is placed aside. The lamp burns quietly. The flame is small. It moves whenever the air shifts. The fisherman looks at it for a moment. Then his eyes begin to close. The lamp is lowered. Darkness. Sleep. Across the village, other people are doing much the same. The evening does not happen once. It happens in many homes at the same time. Each family has its own small version of the night. In one house, a woman is still cleaning the cooking area. She pours a little water. Washes a bowl. Rinses it. Sets it aside. Another bowl. Then another. The task is simple. But it must be done. Her hands move slowly. The water becomes cloudy. She stops. The bowls are clean enough. She places them upside down. Tomorrow they will be used again. She sits. Her back is tired. She stretches her shoulders. For a moment, she closes her eyes. The room is quiet. A child sleeps nearby. She watches the child. The child's breathing is steady. The mother smiles faintly. Then she lies down. The house becomes still. In another home, a man is repairing a wooden tool. The handle has become loose. He holds it near the lamp. He checks the joint. He pushes it into place. The tool will be needed tomorrow. He works carefully. There is no reason to rush. The repair is small. He finishes. The tool is placed against the wall. He rubs his eyes. The lamp is extinguished. Another home becomes dark. The village grows quieter. The night deepens. The moon moves slowly above the rooftops. The stars appear between the palm leaves. The river remains visible. A faint breeze passes across the water. The reeds move. Then settle. This is the kind of night that does not ask for attention. It simply surrounds the village. The ancient Egyptians lived beneath a sky that could become extremely clear. At night, the stars were not hidden by the glow of distant settlements. The darkness was deep. The sky was wide. A person standing outside could see far more stars than they could see during the day. Perhaps some people looked up. Perhaps they recognized familiar stars. Perhaps they used the sky to understand direction and time. Perhaps they simply looked because the night was beautiful. We do not need to know exactly what each person thought. It is enough to imagine someone sitting outside after a long day. Looking upward. Breathing slowly. Listening to the river. The stars above. The dark fields ahead. The quiet homes behind. Nothing urgent. Nothing demanding attention. Only the night. And the body becoming tired. The ancient Egyptian evening was not always perfectly peaceful. There were mosquitoes. There were animals. There were illnesses. There were worries about food. There were family problems. There were aches and pains. There were people who could not sleep. There were children who cried. There were people who woke during the night. Life was not free from discomfort. But even within those ordinary difficulties, there were moments of quiet. A person could still sit beside the river. A family could still share bread. A worker could still rest. A child could still fall asleep against a parent's shoulder. The ancient world was not a perfect place. It was simply a human place. People became tired. People became hungry. People became sick. People recovered. People aged. People cared for one another. People worried. People laughed. People worked. People slept. The quiet evening contained all of these things. And perhaps this is why the ordinary details feel so familiar. The materials have changed. The houses have changed. The tools have changed. But the basic rhythm of a tired person returning home is very old. The worker comes back. The family waits. Food is prepared. Water is shared. The body rests. Night arrives. Morning eventually returns. The cycle continues. Near the river, a small group of workers is still awake. They sit beside a low wall. Their work has finished. They have little to do. One person is rubbing his foot. Another is repairing a sandal. A third is looking toward the water. Their conversation is quiet. They may talk about the next day's work. They may discuss food. They may mention a person who did not come to work. They may talk about the weather. Their words are carried away by the wind. We cannot hear them now. They disappear into the night. Perhaps that is how most conversations disappear. Spoken. Heard. Forgotten. Only the people who were there remember them. And eventually, even those memories are gone. The night keeps no written record of them. The river keeps no list. The wind does not remember. The walls remain. But the words disappear. That is part of the quiet mystery of ordinary history. We know that people lived. We know that they worked. We know that they ate. We know that they slept. But we rarely know exactly what they said while sitting beside a wall at night. So we can only imagine. The workers continue sitting. The sandal is repaired. The person ties it. He checks the knot. Good enough. He puts it beside him. Tomorrow it will be worn again. The workers slowly stand. One by one. They return home. Their footsteps become quieter as they disappear along the path. The last person pauses. He looks toward the river. Then he walks away. Now the riverbank is empty. The boat remains. The moon remains. The water remains. The village behind it is dark. The riverbank has returned to silence. A little later, the night watchman walks past. He sees the boat. He sees the rope. Everything is as it should be. He continues. His work is simple. Walk. Look. Listen. Wait. The path is familiar. He passes the houses. Most are dark. Occasionally, a faint light appears. Someone is still awake. Then it disappears. The watchman continues. He does not need to make noise. The village is sleeping. He is simply part of the night. Perhaps he becomes tired. Perhaps he sits beneath a wall. He rests his back. His eyes remain open. The stars move slowly above him. The hours pass. The watchman does not need to know exactly how many. He only knows that eventually morning will come. The night is long. But it is not endless. Every darkness has a morning beyond it. For now, however, the village remains quiet. Inside the houses, sleep is uneven. Some people sleep deeply. Others move. A baby wakes. A parent reaches over. The baby becomes quiet. Someone coughs. Someone drinks water. Someone turns over. Then silence returns. A person with an aching back might wake for a moment. He sits up. The room is dark. He rubs his shoulder. The day's work has left its mark. He waits. The pain eases. He lies down again. Sleep returns. Physical tiredness is part of the story of ancient work. The body was a tool. It carried. It lifted. It pushed. It pulled. It bent. It walked. It climbed. It held. And after so much use, it needed rest. There were no days when every worker could simply stop. There were responsibilities. Food had to be produced. Water had to be collected. Homes had to be maintained. Animals had to be fed. Work continued because life required it. So people learned the small habits of recovery. Sitting in shade. Drinking water. Eating. Sleeping. Working at cooler times. Taking brief pauses. Sharing tasks. Using tools that reduced some effort. These habits helped people continue. And in the evening, the greatest rest of all waited. Sleep. A long quiet sleep beneath a dark sky. The sleeping places were not luxurious. But comfort does not always require luxury. A person can become comfortable simply because the body is tired. A hard mat can feel soft after a long day. A cool floor can feel pleasant after walking beneath the sun. A small pillow can feel enough. A thin cloth can provide warmth. The familiar walls can make a room feel safe. The same sounds heard every night can become comforting. The river. The wind. The insects. The breathing of family members. These sounds form a kind of nighttime background. They are not silence. They are gentle continuity. The ancient village sleeps within them. Outside, the desert is cooler now. The sand has released the heat of the day. The stones are cold. The paths are empty. A faint breeze moves over the open land. Beyond the fields, the darkness is enormous. There are no houses there. No fires. No voices. Only desert. The stars seem brighter over the empty land. The river valley becomes a narrow ribbon of life within the darkness. Water. Fields. Trees. Homes. People. Then beyond it, dry land again. The contrast is strong. But at night, the difference feels softer. Everything becomes dark. The fields and desert blend into the same shadow. Only the river reflects light. The river marks the center of the night. A thin silver path. Moving. Always moving. A boat rests on it. The fisherman sleeps. The farmer sleeps. The potter sleeps. The scribe sleeps. The baker sleeps. The children sleep. The servants sleep. Even the animals rest. The village has become still. And perhaps for a while, no one is thinking about history. There is no such thing as ancient history to the people living inside it. There is only today. There is only tomorrow. There is only the work that needs to be done. A farmer does not wake thinking that he is part of an ancient civilization. He wakes because the morning has come. A fisherman does not go to the river because someone centuries later will find his work interesting. He goes because the river provides fish. A baker prepares bread because people need to eat. A scribe writes because records are needed. A child carries water because the household needs water. The ordinary world does not know that it will become history. That thought belongs to much later. For the people themselves, life is immediate. The bread in front of them. The water in the jar. The tool in the hand. The field beneath the feet. The child beside them. The home behind them. The river ahead. This is enough. And perhaps that is why quiet evenings can tell us something about the past that monuments cannot. A monument tells us what people wanted remembered. A quiet home tells us what people needed. Rest. Food. Water. Shade. Family. Sleep. The evening gathers these needs together. The worker comes home. The fisherman ties his boat. The farmer puts away his tool. The baker covers the remaining bread. The mother checks the child. The scribe puts away his writing materials. The servant finishes the final task. Then the house becomes dark. The day disappears. The river remains. The night deepens. Hours pass. The moon moves farther west. The stars slowly change position. The watchman walks again. His footsteps touch the dust. One step. Then another. The village is safe. Quiet. Sleeping. He continues. At the riverbank, the boats remain tied. At the fields, the crops stand quietly. At the houses, people rest. Nothing needs to happen. The watchman keeps walking. The wind passes. The night continues. Somewhere, a small animal moves through the darkness. A bird shifts in a palm tree. A donkey turns in its shelter. A person wakes briefly. Then sleep returns. The world is never completely still. But it is quiet enough. And the quiet becomes deeper. The fires have nearly disappeared. The lamps are gone. The village is dark. Only the moon and stars provide light. The mud brick houses seem almost like small hills beneath the night. The walls are soft shapes. The doorways are black. The roofs are empty. The paths are empty. The river is bright. The desert is dark. The sky is endless. A person sleeping inside one of those houses might never know how beautiful the night looks from outside. He does not need to. Sleep is enough. His body has worked. His mind is quiet. His family is nearby. The house surrounds him. The night holds him. And somewhere beyond the walls, the Nile keeps moving. The same water passes the village. It continues south and north through the ancient land. It passes farms. It passes villages. It passes boats. It passes temples. It passes fields. It passes people sleeping beside its banks. Night after night. Year after year. The river keeps moving. People come and go. Houses are built. Walls are repaired. Fields are planted. Crops are harvested. Boats are repaired. Children grow older. Workers become old. New children are born. The rhythm continues. But tonight, we remain with one small village. One quiet evening. One riverbank. One group of tired people. One dark sky. The hours move slowly. The people sleep. The river flows. And in the deep stillness of the night, the world seems to become very simple. Water. Earth. Air. Darkness. Breathing. Rest. Nothing more is required. For a while, even the thought of tomorrow can disappear. Tomorrow will come by itself. The sun will rise without being called. The river will brighten. The birds will return. The fires will be lit. The bread will be prepared. The tools will be lifted. The fields will receive footsteps again. But that belongs to another quiet stretch of time. For now, the night remains. The houses remain dark. The mats hold sleeping bodies. The walls hold the cool air. The boats rest beside the water. The fields sleep beneath the stars. And the Nile continues its patient movement through the darkness. Slowly. Quietly. Without ever needing to hurry. The Nile continues its patient movement through the darkness. Slowly. Quietly. Without ever needing to hurry. And for a little while longer, the ancient village remains asleep beside it. The houses are dark now. The fires have faded. The tools have been put away. The baskets are resting against the walls. The boats are tied securely along the riverbank. The fields are quiet beneath the night sky. Inside the homes, tired bodies lie still on woven mats. A farmer sleeps after the long day. A fisherman rests after the river. A worker's hands lie quietly beside him. A mother sleeps near her child. An old man breathes slowly in the darkness. The village has finally become still. There is nothing left to carry. Nothing left to repair. Nothing left to prepare. The day has finished. And the night has taken its place. Outside, the river continues to move. Its surface catches the faint light of the moon. A small ripple passes beneath a resting boat. The boat moves gently against its rope. Then becomes still again. The reeds along the shore bend in the breeze. They rise. They bend again. The sound is soft. Almost too soft to hear. Far above, the stars remain scattered across the dark Egyptian sky. They have watched over farmers and fishermen. They have watched over children and families. They have watched over workers returning home with dusty feet. They have watched countless quiet evenings beside the Nile. And tonight, they watch again. The desert is cool. The earth has released the heat of the sun. The mud brick walls hold the last warmth of the day. Soon even that warmth will disappear. The air will become cooler. The night will become deeper. And sleep will become heavier. Perhaps somewhere inside one of the houses, a person turns slowly on a woven mat. Then becomes still. Perhaps a child moves closer to a parent. Perhaps someone takes one final drink of water. Perhaps an old worker wakes for a moment and listens to the river. Then his eyes close again. The quiet returns. The ancient world does not need to speak. It simply rests. There is something gentle about imagining these ordinary lives. Not the great monuments. Not the royal ceremonies. Not the battles. Just the quiet things. Bread cooling beside a fire. A basket resting against a wall. A boat tied beside the river. A tool waiting for morning. A family sharing a small room. A tired worker closing his eyes. A child falling asleep. The sound of water moving through darkness. These small moments belong to people who lived thousands of years ago. Their days were long. Their work was physical. Their homes were simple. Their lives were shaped by the river, the sun, the fields, and the changing seasons. But when evening came, they too needed the same simple things. Food. Water. Rest. A little shade. A familiar place. And sleep. The night gave them that quiet space. The work could wait. The fields could wait. The boats could wait. The tools could wait. For a few hours, everything could remain still. And so the village sleeps. The Nile moves beside it. The moon travels slowly across the sky. The stars remain overhead. The darkness stretches gently across the fields. And somewhere beyond the river, the desert rests beneath the same ancient sky. The hours pass without noise. The deepest part of night comes and goes. No one needs to notice. The world simply continues turning. Eventually, very far away, the first faint change begins at the edge of the horizon. The darkness is still there. But it is becoming softer. The stars begin to fade. The river loses some of its silver light. The eastern sky becomes a little lighter. Morning is approaching. But the village is still quiet. Most people remain asleep. They have not yet begun another day. For one final moment, the ancient settlement rests between darkness and light. The fields wait. The boats wait. The homes wait. The river continues. And the people sleep. Soon, a bird will call. Soon, a door will open. Soon, someone will rise. A fire will be lit. Bread will be prepared. Water will be carried. The first footsteps will cross the dusty paths. The farmer will return to the fields. The fisherman will return to the river. The worker will pick up his tools. The ordinary rhythm will begin again. But there is no need to follow it now. The night has already given us what we came looking for. A quiet place. A slower world. A world of simple work and simple rest. A world where the river moves patiently beside tired homes. A world where evening arrives without hurry. A world where the final task of the day is simply to lie down and sleep. So let the village remain quiet. Let the boats remain tied. Let the tools remain against the walls. Let the fields remain beneath the fading stars. Let the Nile continue its slow journey. And let the ancient houses disappear softly into the darkness. The sounds become smaller. The river becomes softer. The wind becomes quieter. The stars become faint. The night begins to fade. And for a little while, the ancient world feels very far away. Only the water remains. Moving gently. Endlessly. Quietly. Beside the sleeping land. The Nile carries the last reflections of the night toward the horizon. The first light touches the distant sky. And somewhere along the river, another peaceful morning is waiting. But for now, there is only silence. Only the soft movement of water. Only the cool air. Only the heavy stillness of sleep. And the quiet memory of an ancient evening beside the Nile. Rest gently. Let the river move without you. Let the old village remain beneath its fading stars. The work can wait. The morning can wait. For now, simply rest. And let the ancient night slowly disappear into silence.